Friends, come in from the cold, here into Studio 2, where it is slightly below room temperature. I'm Avi Wolfman-Arendt.
And I'm Cherry Gregg. Avi, the theme of today's show
is what?
New year,
yes.
New you, or me. And
New them.
Yeah, new them. And I started the year with a resolution to get off of bottled water. You remember that?
I do.
I'm doing well.
She just took a sip, folks.
Took a sip out of my metal cup here. And so far, so good. But I also had a resolution to intentionally...
2 resolutions?
Yeah, to start
Look
intentionally moving my body for at least 30 minutes a day, 4 days a week.
Wait, what does that mean? Intentionally moving?
Yeah, like walking or doing some type of physical activity.
Right.
Not just doing what I normally do.
Yeah, because I'm always moving my body.
Yeah, but being intentional for 30 minutes straight. And it's day 9 of the year, and true confession, I've done nothing.
Oh, whoa. So
Absolutely
the water
nothing.
thing is going great.
Yeah.
The movement thing, not so much.
Not so much. And so I'm really disappointed in myself because back in the day, Avi, I don't know if you know this, but I used to be in shape.
I think you're in great shape now, but I don't.
I'll tell you, I used to do fitness competitions.
Oh, whoa.
And since it's Throwback Thursday, I got a quick surprise for you.
Okay.
Brought in a photo.
Oh, no.
To prove that I used to do this.
Whoa.
There's a picture of me. You have to go to our YouTube page to check it out. Holding a trophy from a fitness competition. I was a fitness competitor.
Wait, did you
like
win?
3
Is
years.
that what the cup means?
I was like third place.
That's a nice prize for third place, by the way.
Third place. And
wow.
I used to be in shape. So today's show will hopefully motivate me and hopefully some of you, our listeners, who may need a push to get that mojo flowing.
Yeah. Well, is that your goal to get back into that?
No.
Yeah.
That's back in the day me. Current me needs some kind of middle of the road version.
Got it.
That is in shape, but not like in shape. Like I want to be fit. I want to feel strong.
I feel that.
But I'm not trying to work out, do 2 a days and all that kind of crazy stuff. But, today we're talking about exercise. We're talking about getting that motivation. We're talking about what is a good middle of the road place for you to be and to, lengthen your life, to feel pretty good. But I wanted to show you that picture.
That was cool.
Thursday.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
We have not spoken about this phase of your life.
This is a different phase.
Yeah, that was cool. It's amazing you achieved that.
Yeah, and I used to work out twice a day.
My version of that picture would not be impressive. I just letting you know.
So I pulled that out because I wanted to motivate myself and hopefully, some of our listeners and all that, because a lot of us used to run and do all these things. And then you get a little older, you get busier, and you're like, I can't do that anymore. So what can I do? And that's why we're bringing in experts today. We have a health columnist. We have a former NBA performance coach who's coming in studio.
Wow.
To hopefully get folks motivated.
The best of the best.
Yeah, and we want to ask you our questions. The questions for today, let me just say this. The question for today is, how do you find motivation to stay active and to stick to a fitness plan? And what do you do when you're in a workout rut? You can call us 888-477-9499. You can also email studio2@whyy.org. And if you're on YouTube, you can comment right there in the chat, and we may read your comment on the show.
Hello, Studio Tubers.
Hi, Studio Tubers. I don't know if you work out, but we do need motivation.
When I'm in a workout rut...
What do you do?
You already know a joke's coming. I just sink deeper into the rut. Oh, embrace the rut. Rut it up.
Rut it up.
Oh, but not today. I'm going to have a good attitude. I'm going to at least pretend.
Well, you're pretty lean, though. You stay lean and mean anyway.
Yeah.
You're lucky. I mean, you're a vegetarian.
No, well, I do pescatarian. But I do... I'll be fair. I'm more on the diet side of things, not on the workout. So I do monitor what I eat for sure. It's just not as much. The workout side is just never really connected with me. But today it will.
Yeah. And that's the goal.
That's the goal. 3 news stories to get to before we get to all that. First, if you hadn't heard, there is a massive cargo ship stuck in the Delaware River right now. It's called the Algoma Verity, and anytime you read statistics about cargo ships, they seem made up because they're so big. But this ship is 623 feet long. It is carrying 45,000 tons of salt. It was coming up from the Bahamas. It got stuck around 6:30 last night near the Ben Franklin Bridge, just north of it in the Fishtown area. We don't exactly know why it got stuck yet, but so far no spills or pollution. No one was injured, but this big ship is just stuck in the Delaware River. And I feel bad for the crew because these folks were in the Bahamas.
I know. And now they're here.
Now they're stuck in the icy Delaware River for God knows how long. So we'll monitor this situation. Cargo ship stuck in the Delaware River.
Yeah, I wonder in my mind how and why it got stuck.
Sure.
No ideas. I'm sure they'll figure that out. But the good news is no one was injured. And I live in that area. So I was like, I was shocked because I didn't see anything going on in the river over there. So it's interesting. But
you got to check out the river.
I got to check it out. I got to look over there.
To what's happening in the river. We're learning that.
I got to look over there.
Story number 2.
Yes. The former principal of Girls High is suing the school district of Philadelphia for racial discrimination. Lisa Messi filed a federal lawsuit against the school district on Wednesday. She alleges that she was removed from her job in 2023 because she is white. Now, all of this stems from an incident that took place in 2023. Here's what happened, and you might remember. During the Girls High graduation ceremony, Messi withheld diplomas from 3 girls who she said violated the rules of the ceremony. Now, the school, which was founded in 1848,
had a very old school.
Yeah, it had a long-standing rule where students had to wear all white and they had to walk across the stage without ceremony. That means graduates, they could not celebrate excessively, they couldn't dance, they couldn't do cartwheels, they just had to walk across, and their families were told that they should not yell, cheer, clap, or anything. And if they did, those who violated the rule would not receive their diplomas. Well, the 3 students who were graduates who were walking across, one flipped their hair, another did a dance, there were claps, there were cheers. And so Messi simply, enforced the rule. Well, to
be clear, they still graduated. They still
graduated.
Get the diploma.
To get the diploma, yeah.
Okay.
And there was like public backlash. A lot of folks, mixed reaction though. Some people supported the principal. Others were mad. It said that the rule needed to change. And so the district, in a statement, went against her. They said they did not condone withholding of the diplomas and apologized to the public for the incident. Messi claims that
then she was out as principal.
She was out as principal.
Yeah.
She was told she was asked to publicly apologize, but refused.
Okay.
And she was eventually put in a job that was forcing her to do menial tasks, and eventually she went on to other work. But she said she applied to other jobs and was not given other opportunities, and less qualified candidates were instead selected. So now she's made this move to file this lawsuit. Of course, the district has not commented on this lawsuit because it's
litigation,
pending. Your thoughts?
My thoughts. I mean, it all goes back to what the tradition of the school is, which is that they have a very unusual type of graduation ceremony. Traditions are often by their nature out of step with the cultural mores of the times because they were established a long time ago, right? So it seems like nitpicky to me to not give them the diploma, but, I guess rules are rules. I don't know. Yeah. I'm surprised this story has really had quite a life. I don't know. I'm surprised we're still talking about it. I'm kind of surprised she's suing and bringing it back into the public discourse.
And I'll say,
not the choice I would have made.
She was an award-winning administrator. She had previously trained principals for the school district, so she felt like she got the shaft here.
Sure.
And I'll say, I graduated from a high school alongside 660 other students, and we had more than that in high school. And they allowed clap. And think about it. If your name comes after the one who did a flip.
I've thought about it.
All you want to do is hear your name. That's all you want to do. You did 4 years or however many years you did to get out. And you just want to hear your name. And so I guess that's the reason for the rule, whether or not it should change.
Maybe they could have a little flexibility with it. But,
we'll see what happens with the lawsuit.
There was over 3,000 kids in my high school.
Whoa!
Not my class, but in my high school overall. It's the biggest public high school in the state of Maryland, and there was plenty of clapping and shouting. And my last name starts with W. I waited there a long time, Cherry Greg.
I'm a G, and I waited a long time. So you waited a long time.
So I am familiar with the feeling. All right, one more story. The Consumer Electronics Show opened this week in Las Vegas, showcasing the newest tech products, and we had to point out some that jumped out to us. So this is CES is the world's biggest electronics show, and there's lots of AI stuff debuting this year. But one of the things we wanted to bring to your attention was a cute, fluffy robot named Mirumi. that wraps around your bag and senses when people are near and looks up at you shyly. That is one of the standout products this year. Also,
a little creepy to me, but go ahead.
There was a mirror made by a French company that looks like something out of a sci-fi movie. You step in front of it in this mirror. It gives you all of your health stats, your weight, your muscle composition, a sleep analysis, and all kinds of fitness measurements. It's called, I think, the Omnia, and it does seem ominous. Also, we've got, this one's crazy. If you need to reduce your sodium intake on the health front, there's an electronic spoon by a Japanese beer company that uses electronic currents to concentrate the sodium levels and amplify the taste of salt and umami flavors like mushroom or miso. It sells for $125. There's the fancy spoon that's going to make our lives better. You want to eat out of that fancy spoon, Cherry Greg?
I don't know. I would feel a little manipulated because it's changing flavors of food, even though it's supposed to be a good thing. I don't know, but it's interesting for sure.
One more. Portable hologram box that projects a third image of a person. Instead of FaceTiming or Zooming with your partner, mom, friend on a cell phone or laptop screen, this is a lifelike avatar in a mini phone booth.
Whoa.
There it is, your hologram FaceTime friend. I'd be okay with that. I'd try it.
It's kind of cool.
It's better than the spoon at the very least.
It's interesting. CES. Wow. Blowing my mind with some interesting new gadgets. Don't know if I would buy any of them.
I can't get this look off of my face. I don't
know if I would do any of them.
I don't know where we're going.
So.
And why am I in this handbasket?
We are going to be talking about exercise. We have some professionals coming up. Get your calls in, your emails, your comments. We'll be right back. This is Studio 2.
One thing that's out for 2025, feeling overwhelmed by an endless barrage of headlines. Let Morning Edition be your one-stop shop for staying informed about the news of the day. We bring you a mix of national and local stories so you can stay up to date on the new presidential administration and what's happening in your community. Take control of your news this year and start your weekdays with Morning Edition from NPR News.
Weekday mornings from 5 to 10 on WHYY.
Supporting WHYY, Thomas Jefferson University. At Thomas Jefferson University's College of Architecture and the Built Environment, they're not just teaching architecture, design, and construction, they're helping to build a more sustainable, socially equitable world. You can discover how you can help at their graduate open house on January 11th at their East Falls campus. Programs include architecture, interior architecture, urban design, historic preservation, and more. Registration at jefferson.edu/architecture.
Do you hate the winter, the cold, the long dark nights, the blues that can set in? I'm Marty Moscowane, and Friday on The Connection, I'll talk with psychologist Carrie Leibowitz, who has lived in the Arctic among other places. In her new book, How to Winter, she explores the latest in mindset research to help you embrace the possibilities of winter. That's The Connection, Friday at noon on WHYY and wherever you get your podcasts.
And welcome back, everybody, to Studio 2. I'm Avi Wolfman-Arent.
And I'm Cherry Gregg. It's a new year, and the gyms are getting crowded with ambitious people trying to make a change in their lives. Getting fit, that's at the top of the New Year's resolution list for many, including me. But year after year, we see it again and again. What starts with good intentions is usually over by February.
And it's not just the gym crowd, Cherry. Folks at home, they clear the dust off the Pelotons. They try to give it another shot, but the proximity to that warm and cozy couch is just too tempting.
True. And there is no doubt, though, that staying active is important for body and mind. And that is something we want to explore today with our guests. Let me introduce Gretchen Reynolds first. She's the health columnist for the Washington Post. Gretchen, welcome to Studio 2.
Thanks very much for having me.
And with us in studio is a guy who's worked with all sorts of elite athletes and until recently was with the Philadelphia 76ers. Ben Kenyon is a veteran NBA performance coach, author, and speaker, and he's with us today in our Philadelphia studios. Ben, welcome to Studio 2.
Thank you for having me, y'all.
And our question for you, our listeners and viewers on YouTube, how do you find the motivation to stay active and to stick to a fitness plan? What do you do when you are in a workout rut? Give us some motivation here, y'all. Call 888-477-9499. You can also email studio2@whyy.org. And if you're on YouTube, be sure to leave your comment online in the WHYY chat for this show.
Our studio tubers.
I love them.
But they're not couch potatoes.
No,
they're
they
different
are
types
not.
of tubers. Okay, so let's start here, Ben, because we're going to start with motivation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not, how do I put this? I'm not a big workout guy.
Okay.
It just never connected with me. I always felt like it was a chore. It's always been easier for me to focus on diet over exercise. So what do you say to someone like me to get me on the path to having a fitness routine?
Pump
you
them
gotta
up.
Pump them up. Here we
pump
go.
me
Here
up.
we go. Okay, so I always connect it to purpose, right? So purpose, what's most important to you right now? What are your core values? So using me for an example, I want to be in the best shape of my life because I want to do this High Rocks event in April.
High Rocks event.
And so it's like a new age CrossFit.
Cool.
So to prepare for that, I can't be lazy. I have to make sure I make it to the gym, right? So maybe it's a 5K, maybe it's a 10K, maybe it's something that you're setting up that goes beyond you just working out every day. Does that make sense?
Yeah, driving toward something.
Yeah,
a
exactly.
goal.
Exactly. And then from there, you find community, right? So we now need to find people that are kind of motivated like us to actually push us to continue to go to the gym. So maybe there's a workout partner, maybe there's a friend or a family member that you can actually go to the gym with, just because, again, it's wintertime, it's cold,
So
the bed
cold.
feels good,
So
you know,
bad.
and
It's-
all the excuses start to kind of pop up.
Yeah.
So again, now you've got your friend kind of pulling you in, you've got your core values, you're focused on that. And then the final piece is just understanding like it'll get better because it doesn't always feel good.
Yeah.
My first few weeks of training for High Rocks was wild. Literally like week 1, week 2, I was looking at my personal trainer saying like, dude, I love you, but I hate you. Right. And so finally, right around week 3, week 4, I was able to actually like kind of settle in and just adjust to what I needed to focus on.
It is comforting to know that even you feel that way.
Yeah, for
about
sure.
your training, because I mean,
That's what you do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what you do, and
Yeah.
obviously you're in great shape. So it's like, if even you
Yep.
can feel kind of crappy in the beginning, I think it makes me feel okay about how I feel in the beginning. That was good motivation. All right, we're rolling now.
Here we
Yes,
go.
we're
Come on.
rolling. And so,
Come on.
Gretchen, Ben gave us the purpose, you know, the mindset you need. I want you to give us the facts. Like, there are some real health reasons why you should just, by moving your body in an intentional way on a regular basis, is good for you.
There are countless reasons why moving your body in any way, and it doesn't even have to be intentional. It means
Oh,
taking
not
the
unintentional
stairs
movement.
today instead of taking the elevator. It changes effectively every single cell inside of you. It actually changes how your genes work. It almost ensures that you're likely to live longer. And it has a real effect on mental health. There's very good evidence that people who are physically active, even if it just means walking around the block more often, tend to report being happier. They have less risk of depression, less risk of anxiety, just all of those things that are so beneficial from just a really small amount of activity.
K South on YouTube writes, I am very externally motivated. You know, this is something that Ben talked about. I always need a race to train for and a buddy to train with. My running buddy got pregnant, had a baby, and now has no time. I have no self-motivation to run without her. So first, my condolences, K South, although kind of congratulations to your friend, because that is
I
a
know.
wonderful
Sure.
life milestone. But so, you know, I think what that comment brings up is exactly what you're talking about, Ben, finding purpose, and then also having a community to train with. I think the community part might be hard for me, how to find those people, because I'm not in this world, right? Like I'm not a workout guy. I'm not a gym guy.
Yeah.
How did you connect with people? How do you connect with people over like shared fitness goals and shared fitness activities?
Yeah, so I'm going to always go back to core values. What's most important to you, right? So faith is important to me, right? So maybe I go online and I'm like, hey, you know what? Let me Google faith run group.
Yeah.
Let's just start there, right? And something might pop up. I go investigate that and say, all right, is this the group for me? I love chess, right? Maybe there's a chess run group.
Yeah.
Right? So figuring out ways to actually put the things that you love in Google or ChatGPT or wherever and say, all right, is there a group that actually aligns with this fitness goal and the other things that I'm passionate about?
Yeah, because it's got to be people you want to be around.
Exactly, right? So again, building community, I think, is just huge, because now when you go for the run or you go for the workout, you can actually talk about things that you guys enjoy, knowing that like chess is the reason or faith is the reason, whatever it is, you know?
Yeah. I used to be an avid spinner, and I love spin classes. And before the pandemic, I was a member of a spin club, and we used to do it. And then they shut down, stole other bikes, and lost that community, bought a Peloton. So fast forward, you know, when you're trying to remotivate yourself and find something that you can do, I want to ask about changes to yourself and your body, because as a younger person, I was very fit, always into fitness. But as I got older, you know, you suffer an injury or you lose that motivation. How do you sort of transition to a different version of yourself working out? Because you can't do what you did at 25, 20 years after you're 25.
Yep.
You know?
It's readjusting the goals. Like, it's funny. I signed up for the event with the mentality of I want to win it.
Yeah.
But I know, I've never done it before. And again, I know there are people out there like that are probably going to dominate and do this event in less time than I do it. But I know for a fact I'll push myself today as hard as I possibly can and be in the best shape I can possibly be right now. Again, when I was younger, I probably had an opportunity to win it, but it's more about the mentality of saying like, all right, I'm no longer in this space. Let me now make this adjustment to push as hard as I can for like right now. And the new milestone that I set might just be completing it. Right. And so I think adjusting that is the whole goal.
I know Gretchen's laughing a little bit.
Have you like helped athletes, you know, elite athletes come to terms with that in terms of how they work out? Like, because look, we know that you're a rookie, you come into the league, you got all sorts of bounce, you got all sorts of
cartilage in your knees.
Yeah, and then at some point, but all these elite athletes are super motivated, I assume, to be in great shape. But at some point, they have to come to terms with, hey, I can't train the way maybe I used to. Like, how do you have that conversation with people?
Yeah, it's a tough conversation to start, just because you've been on this path of like, I can do anything and everything I dream of and believe. But it's saying, hey, man, like your numbers are actually kind of coming down. Where can we be more efficient?
Using some data.
Yep, exactly.
To help frame the conversation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. And so now when we focus on the data and just say, all right, if we can be more consistent over time, that probably looks way better than you actually going out there and having this amazing peak, you know, maybe for the first 5 games, but then you end up dropping off, you know?
Yeah, tough conversation, but I guess if you bring some hard facts into it, sometimes it can help.
Well, because we want longevity, right?
Yeah. And I want to bring in a caller. We have Bill from Newcastle, Delaware, who says, I stay motivated. Wants to talk about how he stayed motivated. Bill, you're on Studio 2. What's your question or comment?
Hi, Sherry. Hi. I love the show.
Thanks, Bill.
You know, what keeps me motivated, I have to first tell you that I grew up as a really skinny kid. I was very small, very skinny. Well, not small in stature, but just, you know, slight by stature. But when I went into the Air Force back in the 80s, then you were on a more scheduled regiment with eating and sleeping, and I started to put on a little bit of weight, and I started to, you know, get into the shape of lifting weights and all that kind of thing. And someone years ago took a picture of me in some Speedos, and I'm telling you, I was in the best shape of my life. So to keep me motivated, I refer back. Now we're talking, I'm north of 50 now. I refer back to that picture, and I look at that picture, and with the shape I was in then, that's what keeps me motivated now. So like in the morning, like this morning, I got up at 5 o'clock, went down to the basement and jumped on the elliptical for about 45 minutes, and then started back onto my weightlifting routine.
All right.
I just want to stay fit. I'm trying to get back to when I was 26 years old, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it.
All right, Bill from Newcastle, Delaware.
Bill. The magic picture.
I love
that strategy.
I love it. And Gretchen, I want to bring you back into the conversation, because I, like Bill, look at my old picture and I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to get there, but
you don't get. See, I would get like a little, maybe not depressed, but I would be like, oh, I'll never be able to get back there. It's interesting. That's motivating for some people.
That's motivating to, because you've been there. It's something about being in the best shape of your life that feels so good, and know that you've achieved that at some point. But so Gretchen, I mean, there's levels to this, right? Where do you start? Maybe because people, maybe you were never an athlete, and maybe, you've been on the couch, but you say, you know what, I need to start moving my body. And where do you start? And if you've already started, how do you level up?
I think it's perfectly fine as we get older, or even if you're younger, to think of their different goals. And one is to be thinking about your health instead of just your fitness. It doesn't have to be competitive. And it's fine to think, I want to be a healthier, better feeling version of myself, as opposed to being an athlete. And that requires nothing more than getting up out of the chair. There's this whole concept of what scientists call exercise snacks, which just means that instead of sitting all day long, get up for 2 minutes, walk around your office, take the stairs in the office, do a couple of jumping jacks. That has really profound effects on your body. And you don't even have to call it a workout. All of those things can contribute to your health, your wellness, how long you live, and they're so easy. You can get all of your coworkers involved and do an exercise snack together. I think one thing that we do is we make exercise sound really hard when it's not. It can be as simple as getting up right now and walking around your living room. You've done a workout.
yeah, making it more digestible. I guess the word snack, right? I am curious though, because there was one thing I was reading, and I think it was of yours, Gretchen. One of these, it seems like an exercise snack, but maybe it turns out to be empty calories. This idea of a standing desk, because that's one way that people try to integrate, or I guess it's counteract really the negative effects of being sedentary all day. They get these standing desks, but maybe it turns out they're not so helpful. What's the research say on standing desks?
Unfortunately, the best science suggests that standing is its own kind of being sedentary. Your muscles are not contracting. It's basically a different version of standing still. You still have to move. And again, that doesn't mean much. It means you get up from your chair, walk even a few steps. That way you get the blood flowing, your muscles contract, your heart works a little bit. All of that really counts. It doesn't have to be a 30-minute walk. 2 minutes over the course of the day, if you do it over and over and over, it adds up to 30 minutes, and it is just as effective for your body. It doesn't have to happen in one bout.
Yeah. I want to read this comment from Alex, who says, I'm a 51-year-old female who didn't start working out until I was around 30. I've never really been a gym person, but did hot yoga for about 15 years, bar for a few, and for the past 2 years, I've been taking kickboxing classes. I love it. The workout is fast and intense. The instructors are awesome, and the people are cool. I highly recommend it for anyone who might be bored or want to change.
Kickboxing.
Kickboxing. Kick butting. I love it. Boom, boom, boom. But, I think about this, Ben, you want to not be bored, right? You want to do something.
Yes.
And so how do you sort of figure out, if you're a person like, look, I want to work out, but like, I'm not a runner. I don't know what I want to do. How do you sort of figure out what might be good for you, what might avoid some injuries, what you might enjoy? Do you just go out there and start sampling?
No, you got to start slow, like Gretchen was saying. Like, if it's doing something for 2 minutes to 5 minutes, like go for a walk, right? Maybe that's the foundation. And then maybe you walk into the gym, you see a couple of classes, you go participate, but take it easy, right? Don't jump into the advanced class. I don't even jump into the advanced class if it's something new, and I work out all the time, right? So focusing on finding something that you enjoy, doing it for a smaller amount of time to start, maybe 20 to 30 minutes. Even tapping out, like we just talked about the hot yoga. I haven't been to hot yoga in a while, but if it's a 60-minute class and I can only handle 20 to 30, like put my ego aside and just saying, all right, I'm doing 20 to 30. Check. I did a workout today. I'll be back for the 60 at one point. You know, so again, just being a little more graceful with yourself, because, the athletes that you see on TV, like that's their job. Right. So you don't necessarily have to be in that shape. I think if you're bored, if you're looking for something new to do, start super small and then gradually build over time so that you can get the habits and routines and you don't overwhelm yourself, because that's typically when people fall off, is when they overwhelm themselves and their body feels a certain way and they're like, you know what, that's not for me.
Yeah, one thing I've seen people do is they haven't been to the gym in a long time, but they remember how they used to be, and then they try to pick up where they left off, and then they get a rude awakening. And when they wake up the next day, it's like, wow.
I had a coach that I used to work with do that every year. And I'm like, dude, you're like 6 to 8 years older than me, man. Like, slow down. No, I can do this. No. And then eventually he actually had like a herniated disc. I said, hey, here we are.
That's why you can't just start where you left off 10 years ago.
The body knows. The body knows. Yep. This email from Laurel is speaking to me because this is kind of how I get exercise. Laurel says, one of the most helpful ways I've found to incorporate more exercise into my life is simply to merge it with my transportation. I ride my bike or walk almost everywhere. That way I don't have to carve out time in my busy schedule to work out. I just go from point A to point B. That is me. That is the way that I get most of my exercise. Oh, that's your
secret to staying lean.
Well, but I want to layer on top of that. I feel like that's a decent starting point to be like, it's part of how I get places. And I really do value that I really try to bike and walk as many places as possible. But I know that's a baseline, and we gotta build it from there. Let's bring in a caller now. This is Chris from the Frankfurt neighborhood in Philadelphia. Chris, you're on Studio 2. Help motivate us. Tell us about your routines. What do you got for us, Chris?
I'm 73 years old. I guess I should start with that. I still work out. I go to it. In fact, today I have a conflict here. My wife has asked me to accompany her someplace, and I was planning on going to the gym. So all right. So
compromises marriage, yeah.
Right. That's right. So I'll go tonight. No, I've done a lot of things. I'm not an athlete. But I've done, running and even gymnastics in a very haphazard. Yeah, well, I mean, no, don't. I used to work out on the sides at the Temple gymnastic room. The coach put up with me there, and I was able to do it. That was a long time ago. But I still work out. I still go to the gym, and I think it's helped me a lot. I have realistic expectations. No, I don't do what I did 30 years ago. That's okay. I'm glad to be ambulatory and to be able to get around. So, I'll keep it up.
Thanks.
So that's it.
Thank you, Chris from Frankfurt. By the way, if you want to participate in the conversation, tell us, how do you find the motivation to stay active and stick to a fitness plan? What do you do when you're in a fitness rut? You can call us 888-477-9499. You can also email studio2 at WHYY.org, and on YouTube, leave your comments in the chat. My question is about weightlifting, and I want to put it to both of you. And Gretchen,
okay.
I used to lift super heavy. It was the best thing I used to think I was going to get like super big and bulky, but it didn't happen. I want you to, Gretchen, tell me, how important is being able to lift weights or do some type of strengthening exercises for your health? What does that do for you?
It does everything for you. I think weight training is really important and badly neglected by a lot of people. It's probably the most important thing you can do if you want to age well, because some of this will sound almost facetious, but you have to be able to get up out of a chair. You have to be able to lift your groceries and put them away. And all of that becomes really hard if you don't have any muscular strength. So it's very, very important to do some kind of weight training. It's also really simple. Weight training is another instance, and I'm sure others will agree with me, where we've made it seem so inaccessible and so complicated when it can be as simple as lifting up a full milk carton a few times in your living room. That's weight training. Yeah. So start with that if you haven't been doing anything. Any amount of resistance training will help you hold on to the muscle mass that you have and build some more. There are no rules. There's pretty good science showing that you don't have to have a certain number of sets. You don't have to lift hard. You don't have to follow any kind of regimen. You don't have to use machines. Again, you can just use your body weight, do some push-ups in the living room. It's not difficult. if you just apply a few simple rules, which means muscles.
Yeah. Not everyone has to be Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's not. It's, you don't have to be Gold's Gym, right?
No.
There's a lot of ways to weight train, right, Ben?
For sure. So we call that functional movement, right? So we want to pretty much train for our lifestyle. Again, not everybody's athletes. So what do you have to focus on? Are you focusing on picking up your kids, picking up groceries, putting them in cabinets overhead? Sweet. Train that way, right? Even doing it at home. Taking, she said, a carton of water or a gallon of water or whatever it is, and being able to just pick that up from maybe your side and actually practice putting it into a cabinet. Yeah. Why? Because that's your everyday life. Yeah. And so being able to do that for 10 reps, 20 reps, or however many seconds if you want to put a timer on, do that and focus on being able to actually do it efficiently. And that's your strength training for the day.
I love that. I could get with that.
You could get with that.
I'm not going to bench press 250, but I could get with that. Okay, so we are going to go to a breakdown. Studio 2. Keep those comments coming. Studio 2 at WHYY.org, 888-477-9499, and some great YouTube comments I'm going to get to on the other side of this break. You're listening to Studio 2 on WHYY.
Supporting WHYY, the McCarter Theater Center in Princeton, presenting the national tour of Here There Are Blueberries, Tectonic Theater Project's new play and a 2024 Pulitzer Prize finalist for drama, January 24th through February 9th. Inspired by true events, the play unravels the story of a mysterious Nazi-era photo album that surfaced at the U.S. Holocaust Memorial Museum in 2007. Tickets and information at mccarter.org. That's mccarter.org.
I'm Robin Young. We take a field trip with the superstar of climate mitigation, Kang Jung-yu, who says don't fight rising seas or flooding streets, soak water up.
My suggestion here will be sponge idea. To keep the water on the island, you create a different kind of habitat.
To soak it up like a sponge.
Yeah, soak it up like sponge.
Sponge Cities, next time, here and now.
Weekdays at 1 on WHYY.
Independence Blue Cross is proud to support WHYY and the entire greater Philadelphia area. IBX has been deeply rooted in our communities for more than 85 years as your hometown health insurer. Members get access to a wide range of plans offering the largest network of doctors and hospitals in the region, plus virtual doctor visits 24/7. Open enrollment is already underway, so there's no better time to explore coverage options and find a health plan that's right for you. Learn more at ibx.com.
And welcome back in to Club Studio 2. I'm Avi Wolfman-Arent.
And I'm Cherry Gregg. We're talking about best ways to stick to a workout routine and improve body and mind. Our guests today are Ben Kenyon, who is with us in studio. He's a veteran NBA performance coach, speaker, and author. We also have Gretchen Reynolds, who is joining us via Zoom from New Mexico. She's the health columnist for the Washington Post.
Man, we have some great comments coming in. If you want to add some, 888-477-9499, email studio2@whyy.org. Or if you're a Studio Tuber, you can comment on that YouTube stream. And I want to read a couple here. Alaire says, small steps, tiny goals, 10 minutes, 5 squats, 2 push-ups. Set goals that are easy to achieve to get the ball rolling. It goes back to exactly what our guests have been saying. And here's a great one from Sarah on YouTube who says, I'm trying to shift the mindset from I'm going to work out to be hot to I'm going to work out to feel better. Because look, we know we're in the age of comparison and social media, Ben. And I think a lot of people, they think their goal should be, I want to look great. And that could be a good goal for some people, but it's not for everyone, right?
Jeans,
it's tough. That's super hard because, again, we want to be able to look in the mirror, when we're at home and say like, oh, everything's sitting in the right place. But I think we also need to make sure that we're training to feel our best. We're eating to feel our best. Everything in moderation, right, when it comes to nutrition. But it's all about how you feel. Understand that if you overtrain, you can actually start to head down a bad road that you don't want to when it comes to comparison, because you don't know what that person's doing to get to that space, right? So again, try not to compare too much and go off a feel, because your body will let you know when you actually need like rest and to slow down a little bit, and when you can actually pick it back up.
Yeah, social media is a distortion mirror sometimes. No doubt about that.
It is. I want to bring in a caller. We have Nancy from Havertown. Nancy, you're on Studio 2. What's your question or comment?
wonderful comments you've all been making. I'm a 64-year-old physical therapist, probably in the best shape in the last few years of my life, for a simple reason that I've really, in addition to strengthening, had a big focus on making sure to keep my flexibility up. I track my activities every day on a habit wheel. That keeps me motivated. I like to see the end results at the end of the month that I'm keeping going. But even in terms, circling back to the flexibility, not just, boring old stretching exercises, but, yoga classes I really do enjoy. But I happen to start every day with a 10-minute Qigong routine, which combines balance, stretching, and sort of mindful breathing. It's a great way to start the day, and it helps me, get my stretching in a non-boring manner.
I like that, Nancy.
Awesome. I had read, Gretchen, and perhaps this was also by you, that actually doing things in the morning can be especially impactful. Are there certain times of day that the research says are best for working out? And I know working out, period, is better than not working out at all. But if you're trying to optimize, you know what I mean? Is there certain times of day?
Well, yes, it kind of depends on your goal. What the science does show is that there do seem to be some benefits for things like improving your blood sugar control if you work out first thing in the morning. That it does seem to be better if, for instance, you are someone who has pre-diabetes. Then there's a good reason to work out first thing in the morning, especially aerobically, going for a walk. You don't like working out first thing in the morning, then the science is meaningless. Just do it when you want. And again, the benefits were fairly small.
Yeah.
And people who were night owls just wouldn't do it. So the most important part about exercise is to find something you like. If you don't like running, you don't have to run, and do it when it's comfortable and convenient for you. And that's going to be far more important than worrying about things like, should I work out before 8 a.m.?
I love that. Omar comments, this is how you transform your life. Consistency beats intensity. Small, consistent improvements over time are more effective than large, sporadic efforts. I love that advice from Omar.
You're nodding along. But
Great nuggets. Because we're setting a routine, we're establishing a new lifestyle. That's the whole goal. We want a good cadence. We want a great cadence.
Yes.
And if we go for everything in that first moment, typically that's when we kind of spill over and we overwhelm ourselves. So again, great thought.
But that's how people end up making these New Year's resolutions.
Yes.
They go in full tilt, hurt themselves, or end up can't move, can't sit. I remember one time I rolled out
discouraged.
I rolled out of the bed. Like I couldn't, my abs was so tight. I had to roll out the bed. I couldn't sit up.
Yep.
And so, but one of the things that I used to do a lot of was one of the things that I used to do a lot of was high intensity interval training. Mm-hmm. And it was very intense. I would do it on the bike. I do it running, where you 30 seconds one way, 20 seconds super fast.
Yeah.
But at this age, I really can't do that. And I know that there's a less intense way, and I want to bring Gretchen in, of doing the same type of thing. Could you describe it and how it's a form of HIIT, but it's less intense? And then, Ben, I'll bring you back in to talk about the more intense form of HIIT. Yeah. So I need to inch it up. Could you talk about what it's called?
Sure. Okay. I assume I can say this on the air.
You can.
I wrote about a practice called doing fartleks, which is a kind of interval training, but all it means is that you take your normal routine, and that includes going for a walk, or maybe a bike ride, or maybe a run, whatever it is you like doing right now, and go outside, pick a goal a little ways ahead of you, like a tree or a rock or a dog or anything, and just pick up the pace a little bit. And the scientist said to me, that means going from, say, a green to a yellow on a green, yellow, red spectrum. It's not making yourself feel sick. It just means getting out of your comfort zone a little bit for a few minutes, let the pace go back down to what it was. Another goal, speed up a little bit. That
Having a little problem with Gretchen's line, but I think the point is well taken.
And Ben, can you... And Ben, could you weigh in on this?
Yeah.
Because what does this type of interval training do for you physically and help to improve your health?
So finishing up what Gretchen was talking about, she was talking about the fartlek, and that's an amazing switch up for you, right? So if you're always doing high intensity workouts, being able to just actually go outside and do something maybe a little slower to start, maybe you pick up the pace and then you slow back down, but it's allowing your body to adjust to something new and not overstressing it, which again, I think that's amazing. So great point that you brought up. And then you just asked about being able to
increase that
intensity.
Yeah.
So
without killing yourself.
Without hurting yourself, right?
So
we talked about it before, like adjusting the ego and just saying, all right, maybe I'm not going to go for the full 30 seconds this time, right? I used to, but maybe it's now 10 to 15 seconds. Why? Because this is manageable,
shorten the time.
right?
Yeah.
Exactly. And I'm still getting the same effects.
Yeah.
So maybe I'm going to do, before I used to do 20 sets of 30 seconds, maybe now I'm going to do about 20, but maybe 10 to 15.
But why does this make you go faster? Why does it improve? Because it actually makes you end up going faster and farther, but why?
So you're working on sprints. You're working on a certain type of muscle. So you've got your anaerobic system, which is like power and speed, and then you got your aerobic system. So she just talked about fartlek, which is more of like your aerobic system, which is like 3 minutes or more. You're going super, super far. You're going beyond what your power muscles can actually withstand. And so when you work on HIIT, you're working on a muscle set that's actually focused purely on like power. So if you have a 2-inch vertical or a 40-inch vertical, there's a time frame that you can actually work on that regardless of who you are as an athlete. So again, the 10 to 15 seconds, typically when you do a sprint, you do a jump, you're touching or tapping into the anaerobic system that it starts to actually allow the muscle fiber in your body to turn over to, not all of them, but some of them to turn over to that anaerobic or that type 2 muscle fiber. Again, not everybody has a lot of type 2, right? Again, that's why we have a lot of marathon runners, right? Because it's muscular wise, it's more common to have type 1, right? And so again, you think about professional athletes, they have a lot of type 2. Yeah. They are fast, they are strong, they are agile because they have a lot of type 2 and they know how to actually use that force in certain places. And
but
again,
we're more like type 1 people.
Oh, I'm
and
type
as
1.
and as you get older, and I think Gretchen can speak to this, as you get older, your muscles actually start to transition that way. And I think that's where a lot of people get caught up to say, hey, like I used to be able to do this. Well, like physiologically, chronologically, literally, your body probably can't do that anymore because it doesn't have as many of those type 2 fibers that you used to have.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right, so we've got the best fitness plan I've ever seen from one of our studio tubers on the YouTube thread. This is Judy, who says, my fitness app has monthly challenges. I try to achieve those every month. It's tracked by my Apple Watch. Currently, it's at least 48 exercise minutes for 14 days in January. Right now, Judy says, I'm cycling on my recumbent bike while watching you guys.
Hey, Judy.
What's up, Judy? The Studio 2 fitness plan is the best fitness plan in the universe. I will vouch. Let's bring in another caller now. This is Karen from Philadelphia. Karen, you're on Studio 2. Tell us about your fitness lifestyle, your routines.
Well, I'm Karen, and I'm 67, and I live alone, but I live in a 3-story house, but I go up and down the steps at least 12 times a day. I don't count them, but if I need something downstairs, I go downstairs. If I need something upstairs, I go upstairs. So I figure that's my exercise. And then in the mornings, I'll walk before I do anything. In the mornings, I walk for about 30 minutes back and forth in my house. So that's kind of my exercise routine.
Use those stairs. Thank you so much, Karen, from Philly.
Yeah, I want to read this email from Pam, who says, I want to do a dance class. There's beginner ballet and hip hop at a studio near me for adults. I used to dance when I was younger. I need to lose baby weight. I think doing a dance class, though, would be extremely embarrassing. We also have Sarah, who listens to us from Germany. She says she's started working out at home during the Christmas season and is now thinking about joining a gym. She says she is scared, though, to be judged by others because she has never been to a gym. How can she overcome that fear? I want to talk both to Pam and Sarah, because a lot of people just get nervous about joining that community you talked about, Ben. But how do you sort of overcome that fear? You're not really an athlete. Maybe you're not really in great shape. You're really nervous about taking that step and being around other folks. Got baby weight to lose, but you got to get out there. Gretchen, Ben, like, how do you overcome that fear?
Gretchen, do you want to start with this one?
Gretchen, you want to start? Yeah.
Well, I think we're having some trouble again with Gretchen's
my hurting. Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, Gretchen. Well, Ben, why don't you take that? We're just having trouble with the line.
So, comparison's tough. Comparison gets you every time.
Yeah.
I think the best place to start, there's a lot of online apps, right? So starting on YouTube, right? Finding a dance class. There's people on social media that you can actually follow, and they're very inviting. And then second, if you do want to go in person, doing a little investigation to see if like how inclusive they are to, your type of person that's trying to walk in there, right? So again, if you step into a gym and you feel like everybody looks a certain way and that doesn't make you feel great to start, that gym is probably not for you to start. But there are other gyms, right? And so finding those gyms and then also knowing like, hey, this is where I need to start. Maybe in 6 weeks, maybe in 8 weeks, it looks a little different. It feels a little different. And now I'm inspiring other people to move. But I think you have to move regardless. So again, if you have to start at home, download an app, go to YouTube. There's so many resources out there in the world that allow you to still figure out how to navigate outside of your comfort zone and not do too much that makes you kind of run back to it at one point. Again, if you step into a gym and it doesn't feel like the place you need to be, go investigate a couple other places because you can find your gym. There's 1,000 gyms out there.
Yeah. There is a community for you.
100%.
Trust and believe.
Yep.
I love that. Let's bring in Margaret from Ballard Kenwood for a quick comment. Margaret, you're on Studio 2. What's your comment? It seems a little motivational here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a multi-sport athlete. I do lots of different activities, and I'm very active. And I understand that there's sort of a luxury of time involved in that. But I also, my friend and I have been walking. We walked over 800 miles together last year, and our motto sort of is no excuses. And so if we have to fit that in at 6 in the morning, we fit it in at 6 in the morning. If we have to fit it in 6 at night, we fit it in 6 at night. But we made a commitment to each other to walk together, not every day, but a lot of them. And then we just sort of got, kind of carried away with when it becomes such a goal and such a, kind of an event.
Yes.
You get more motivated.
And there's that accountability to each other. That's your group. That's your world. I mean, that's a great point from Margaret. Some nice perspective there.
Yeah. And as we get ready to wrap up, I want to give final thoughts because, I have this New Year's resolution, day 9. I've done nothing. And I want to be better.
The transparency, by the way.
I want to be better. I want that, Gretchen, you could tell us, take 15 seconds, give the motivational speech, why we need to get started and why we need to stay consistent.
The first thing I'd say is don't beat yourself up.
Yes, exactly.
If you haven't met your resolutions. I think the National Quitting Day for resolutions was earlier this week that people have already quit. I think setting a resolution is already setting a lot of people up for failure. It's so much easier to just find really simple ways to fit activity into your life. You don't even have to call it exercise. As the one caller said, take the stairs, park your car farther away. All of those things count. It doesn't have to be exercise. It's just getting up and moving and doing it a little bit more today and a little bit more tomorrow, and you've succeeded.
And we'll leave it there.
Get up and move. Get up
and move, Ben. That's what we're going to do.
Get up and move. Make it the theme of the year.
Ben, you moved me
okay.
to get started. Thank
Come
you,
on.
Ben Kenyon, veteran NBA performance coach, speaker, and author. Thanks so much for coming in. Gretchen Reynolds from the Washington Post, health columnist. Thanks to you both. This was a lot of fun.
Super.
And
thank you for having me on.
I'm feeling it now.
I'm
feeling it.
I'm motivated. And thanks to our producers, Debbie Builder, Paige Murray Bessler, and Andreas Copes. Mike Schiffler is our visual producer, Al Banks and Tina Calicay engineered today's show. Our executive producer is Kevin McCory. Joan Isabella is our audio general manager from Studio 2 at WHYY in Philadelphia. I'm Cherry Gregg.
I'm Avi Wolfman-Arent. We will talk to you next week.
Tomorrow at noon, Marty Moscowane is in with a connection with the perfect topic for these cold days. She's talking with the author of a new book, How to Winter, Harness Your Mindset to Thrive on Cold, Dark, or Difficult Days.
And we are back on Tuesday with a special guest.
Yay!
Rob McElhenney, the Philly native actor, writer, producer, maybe best known for It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, but many other shows and projects. He'll join us on Tuesday at noon right here on Studio 2. Very much looking forward to that. Coming up next on WHYY, it's Here and Now.
Supporting